Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to walk you through how I've set up my new Stream Deck device with my trading software, TradeStation. This is my first Stream Deck. I haven't had one before. This is the Stream Deck XL with 32 buttons, and I'm having a good time with it. I use it for different things, but today's video is strictly focused on using it with day trading with TradeStation. I'm also using the Stream Deck right now during the video to change scenes, so you might see a profile page for doing that during the video. So here's a look at the Stream Deck device showing the profile and the page I use. I'm a long bias trader, so my main page is dedicated to long trades. I do have a shorts folder which you can create off of a page, but I'm not going to go over that. I just wanted to show it really quick so that you can make a folder within a page. So like I said, I'm using the Stream Deck XL with 32 buttons. So I've got them full here with this page, so this probably won't work on Stream Decks with fewer buttons. To begin with, you need to install the Stream Deck software and launch it. Once you launch it, it starts up with a default empty page. When you do that, then you want to go and create a profile. It'll say default profile right here instead of the profile I'm currently on. Then you would go down and create new profile. I've already got a new profile. It's called Profile 2. It'll name it Profile 1, 2, etc., depending on what you already have created. I already have one, and I wanted to keep a couple buttons on there because in order for me to control this video. So first thing I do after I create a profile is I would go back in and say Edit Profiles. Find the profile you just created. In this case, it's Profile 2. Right-click it and then click Rename. I'm not going to do that now, but that's just the first thing I do in order so I can know what profile I'm working on. So now let's go ahead and create a button on this new page and this new profile. By the way, profiles, I guess the unique thing about profiles is that you can set a profile, if you look at the profile, to a certain application so that this profile automatically shows up on your Stream Deck whenever you have that application open, which is exactly what I want, because when I'm trading, I want to make sure I actually have the TradeStation software focused instead of some other software like my charting software or etc. So let's go ahead and create a button. So in here we're going to create a button. Basically the buy and sell buttons, I use hotkeys. The hotkey function within Stream Deck, it's under the system category. You can look for it by just typing hot and then dragging it over. So you drag that function over to an empty button, and then you have then you can change these options down here, the title and the hotkey that's it's going to trigger. All you do is if you do this first, set your hotkey up. Let's say you do Control A, it'll automatically fill in the title with Control plus A. After that, you can change the title to whatever you want. Say you want to buy 10 shares. And then from there, I usually, what I did in mine was I used the Stream Deck icon library to just give it a solid color, like a blue here, let's say, and then change the text around just a little bit, center it, make it bigger, and then you're pretty much set. Note that you can do some things with the text by using Shift-Enter to create or to insert a line feed. So you could say buy 10 plus 10 cents to indicate, a 10 cent offset from the current price for a limit order, which mine are all limit orders. But I just say buy 10. I know they're all limit orders. And then from there, you can, if you want to create another button, a similar button, instead of dragging this over and doing all that again, you can save a few steps by selecting that button, hit Control C, select an open button, Control V, and now you've got that button, and you can just modify that from there and make this Control X or whatever you want. One thing I wanted to point out was that Stream Deck has these profiles, pre-built profiles and plugins that you can install in Stream Deck for different applications, etc., etc. But as far as I know, there's nothing available already pre-built for TradeStation. So that's why I created one from scratch. So back to the page I've already created. I wanted to explain a few of these other buttons. That was how to create these buy buttons and sell buttons. I have, you know, a cancel all orders button and a flatten button that gets me out of my my position completely. But aside from those buttons, there's a few other buttons in here. There's some URL buttons that opens a URL in a specified browser, and then there's some application buttons that just opens an application. If the application's already open, it just brings it into focus. Now those, I'm going to get rid of this because this is one shouldn't be there. If you want to create a URL, you would look for the website function and drag it into an empty spot. And then from there you can set the title, the URL, and then the browser you want to use. And then it'll just open in that browser. If you want to launch an application, I just search for open, and I use the open application. The open function does something a little different. I'm not going to go into that. But the open application button is the one I use for the ones that are here. You can tell it's the system open application. Like a TradeStation is an open application. So here you would just, you can type in the name of an app, say TradeStation, and then select it from there. You can also select it from a list of applications it knows about, if you want to do it that way. Aside from that, you can set what you want to long press on that button to do. Usually I want to quit the application. You can also force quit an application, which is a little more forceful for applications that maybe don't quit normally. And you can also just have the long press do nothing. Let's delete this. And that's it for the URL and application type of buttons. The ones I also have a URL to open a trade stock halts page to show me the stocks that are currently halted and when they halted, or it'll show me a whole list including past halts for the day. I have a application button here that it's called free countdown timer, which I set up timers to 5-minute and 10-minute timers for halts. It's just a convenient way for me to get a little alarm when a halt is about to be over. There's a URL button for warrior trading. And then I have some folder buttons. These timers are built-in timers. I don't use them. I thought I might, but maybe I'll find a use for them later. So that's in a folder, and when you create a folder, you get a default back button or up button to go back where you were. I already showed you the shorts folder. I have a music folder to control my music while I'm trading. I put this folder in different places for when I'm doing different things, not just trading, but this has media controls and starts applications like MediaMonkey or Spotify. But it also and it does volume, mute, volume up, down. Kind of a unique thing is I can change my audio out device. So I have like my JBL Bluetooth speaker here, and it'll change it to that, or I can change it to a monitor speaker, etc. Let's go back. So yeah, I just got done explaining these. So these are all the buttons right on the device, not in the software. Hopefully you could see that when I was doing it on the software. As far as any other buttons on here, I think I've talked about most of them. I haven't talked about the profile buttons. These, like this default profile button, will take me directly to the default profile when I press it. You can also set a profile button just to go to the next profile in the list of profiles you've created, which I have one of these buttons on every profile, so that I can quickly search or circle through all my profiles. To create a profile button, you would just look for the switch profile function, drop it onto an empty button, and then select the profile you want to go to, and you can call it something else, and of course change the text size and the icon, etc. That's for profiles. If you wanted to create a folder here, I don't want to create a folder, you can just right click an empty button and say create folder, and there it is. When you do that and you go into that folder, it automatically creates a back button for you. I have a couple of application buttons. These Microsoft Edge and OBS Studio that just launch those applications, or they bring them to the foreground in focus if they're already running. In the case of Microsoft Edge, since you can have multiple windows, it'll just bring the latest or the last one you used into the foreground. And then when you have an application button, probably already mentioned that you can set the long press to quit the application or to do nothing. And I think that's about it. So that's my TradeStation profile setup on the Stream Deck XL. If you'd like a separate tutorial on how to create TradeStation hotkeys, drop me a comment below. I'll make a follow-up video. I want to say thanks for watching, and if you found it helpful, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Again, thanks for watching.